Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be talking about the inflation reports and the Federal Reserve's next moves and their projections. And why is this important? It is important because it will change the interest of how much you have to pay when you borrow money and you need to find a job. Is it easy or hard to get a job? And it will also affect your spending capabilities. So let's get into it. And now on to my first point, which is Jerome Powell's key speech highlight. So I'm going to talk about him during his speech on July 2nd. I'm going to highlight the most important thing that he said, okay? So basically what he said is that there will be no confirmation in any sort of rate cut, and definitely, most probably, no cut in July. So that's because he said that they need more data. There is not enough data to support a cut during July right now, so they're not going to make a move on it. Yes, core inflation has hit 2.6%, but to them it is still not enough. They have to make sure that it is close enough to the actual target of 2%, which is even closer apparently. Of course, they say that the labor market is a very essential point to this thing. If the labor market remains strong, then they will continue to be able to do this and wait it out until they have enough data to cut the interest rates. But if the labor market happens to weaken at some point, they will cut interest rate to save the labor market. So that's the thing right now. They're going to wait because they are now cautious of the rising and the lowering of inflation between whatever they're trying to do, because it spiked, but at the head of this year, when this year first started, inflation spiked again because they had a lot of hyping up that they had declared victory over inflation and so on. So now they are cautious of what they're saying and doing, just in case inflation spikes up and then cause an entire commotion again. So yeah, that's what he said. Basically, no confirmation on rate cuts, need more data, and labor market is an essential key point. And now to my second point, which is the Federal Reserve meeting schedule and interest rates probability. So let's talk about how many meetings do they have left this year for the Fed. They only have 4 meetings left, which is on July 31st, September 18th. Next 2 are going to be November and December. So let's talk about the first 2 first, which is the most essential right now, because they say they're not gonna cut in July. There's a 8.8% chance that they're gonna cut in July. So that's about 90+% chance they're not gonna cut in July, which basically means no. And this is because they don't have enough data showing why they should cut, so they're not confident enough, like I said just now. And for September, there's an 89% chance that they're gonna cut. So the people are very optimistic about September. They really think that they're gonna be having enough data by then, indicating that inflation is at the right level for them to cut, and also indicating that the labor market is strong enough until then. So basically what they're saying is that they're going to, so basically the plan for them essentially this year was to cut 3 times. But if the data doesn't show enough proof that they can, then that's not going to happen. And so I think we should just focus on the data, because they'll always just look at the data first before target. Because what's the point of having a target if you're just going to spike inflation again? Because again, they're going to be more cautious since inflation has spiked at the head of this year. And now to my third point, which is labor market insights. So right now, labor market is not looking very good. I mean, the increase in employment this month has been 206,000. That's a lot, right? It seems like the labor market is doing great, but no, it's actually not, because unemployment rate went from 4% to 4.1%, and that's really bad. Because well, it's unemployment. So unemployment numbers in the past 2 months has been 111,000 jobs, and that's bad. Basically balancing the employment. And wages inflation has went up to 3.9%. So that's also bad for the Fed. So what this is saying is that basically the Fed is in a position where they might have to interfere if unemployment rate continue to rise. And you can't really say that the employment rate, the labor market is strong or robust anymore, because it's kind of more like a shaky position where you're unsure. It could go either way. And at the same time, wages inflation is increasing to 3.9%, where the Fed frankly don't want them to earn so much money, because if they do earn so much money, then it's hard to get inflation back down to 2%, which is their targeted rate, because inflation spikes from when people have money to spend. And then my fourth point, which is the Federal Reserve's future actions. So the Federal Reserve has said that it is very important for them now to receive data and act on data. And they have emphasized that even more lately, because they have realized the mistake they have done previously during this year. And now they are more on a wait and see approach, which it generally is better, because now they're not going to make any optimistic moves that could potentially reverse the progress, or not increase the process, but make things worse. They're more on an approach of a cut the rates if needed to, instead of cut the rates sooner approach, kind of. And basically what it's saying is that they're now more ready to face uncertainties, like drop in GDP, stock market, or a recession, and so on. They're more ready to face these kind of things now, and because they are gonna wait and see until they see the right timing where everything kind of settled down, and then they've decided, well, now that if we wait too long, then things will turn to a recession and so on. At that point of time, then they will cut. So they're really just taking it slow now, because they know the consequence of cutting too late or too early, especially too early. And now my fifth point, which is recent CPI inflation report and its implication. So let's discuss the CPI, the inflation report that was released on July 11th. So headline inflation has fell to 3% from 3.3%, and that's better than expectations. Better than expectation means it's good, very good. And like I've said just now, the probability of a rate cut in September is going to be at 89% because of this. And even July's meeting probability went up to 8.8% because of this news. So energy prices generally went up by 1% year over year. And for food prices went up by 2.2% year over year. Shelter inflation went up 5.2% year over year. Services inflation went up by 5.1% year over year. So clearly inflation is still up, but it has significantly calmed down. So that's a good thing for all of us. Although shelter inflation is still kind of high, services inflation is also kind of high, but it has cooled down more than before. And for elaboration for energy prices is that energy prices a few months ago was up by 3.7%, so that's worse than now. Last month was 3.7%, but before last month it was negative, but now it's 1%, so it went down. For food prices, eggs went up 10.2%, which is crazy. Just imagine if you need $10 to buy a tray of eggs last time, now it's $11. That's a lot. You can feel it. You can literally feel it when you pay your bills. And services inflation, including wages, I guess wages is the most a significant issue for the Fed moving forward. Anyways, going to conclusion. What does this all mean to you? The Federal Reserve is trying to be cautious about cutting rates because they have met the consequences that has happened at the start of this year, and this all will be affecting our lives. So it's a significant factor to remember and stay informed and know the details of what's going on, so you know what investments you should do, because if interest rates go up, it could stimulate economy, it could make stocks go up. These kind of things are all related to each other, so that so if you know this information, you can know how to manage your money as well. So that will be it for this video. I hope we all earn more money. I hope we all have a better life, and I hope you guys like and subscribe. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and bye bye.